All right, Frank, it's number 83 on your list. It's the low-life crime drama Payback. Payback is a 1999 action crime thriller directed by Brian Helgeland and starring Mel Gibson, Gregg Henry, Maria Bello, Kristofferson, David Paymer, Bill Duke, Jack Conley, William Devane, and Deborah Unger. After surviving an attempt on his life, a thief decides to get revenge on those who wronged him and get his money back. Your thoughts on Payback are? There's two cuts of this. I prefer the theatrical cut, but the director's cut is the better film. I don't know which one you'll watch. I had to hunt down the theatrical cut at a Goodwill. Okay, so I think that we established that I ended up watching the theatrical cut because of the cinematography and because of the running time. The cinematography in this is pretty desaturated, very high contrast, desaturated, makes it kind of feel like a film noir from the 1950s. Parts of it literally almost feel black and white. That's how desaturated and high contrast it is. And you get a little bit more color as it goes along, but it actually stays pretty much like that the whole time. And I think we established the fact that the director's cut was the one where things were more colorful, and I believe it's like shorter, I think. So I think I watched the theatrical cut. So in case anybody's wondering about this, I got them from Netflix. It was not listed as a director's cut, so I'm making the assumption that it was the theatrical. The cinematography and also the score in this definitely makes it feel like a 1950s film noir. I think it also kind of gives it a connection to the script, especially gives it a connection to the Lee Marvin film Point Blank. That's really what this feels like. It feels like somebody said, what if we made a Point Blank for the 90s? And Mel Gibson definitely plays that character, the same kind of character that Lee Marvin does, where it's just like, you've screwed me over and now I'm coming back for what's mine. There's really nobody to like in this film. Most of the time, I don't enjoy films like that where there's no redeeming characters. This one, it didn't bother me as much. Did I like this film? Not particularly. I think I enjoyed it enough to not be bored by it, but I don't know that I would recommend it to anybody. I don't know. I'll be really honest with you. Like, I don't even know what to say about this movie. You know, Mel Gibson plays a guy who teams up with his wife and like a previous partner who's kind of on the outs with this criminal organization, and he's trying to get, but this dude is trying to get back in. He needs to do this job. So he gets Mel Gibson, his girlfriend, to help him out. Turns out that he gets double-crossed and they try to kill him. This is not a spoiler. You find out, at the very beginning that he's been double-crossed. And so the whole film is him trying to get back at the people who double-crossed him and trying to get his money back, his part of the money. And there's a joke that goes on throughout the movie that, he wants, the job was for, I think, $140,000 and his half was $70,000. And he's always there, and everybody's always like, so you want the $140,000? And he's always like, no, I want the $70,000. I just want my cut. And they try so hard to make him honorable because he's not like greedy, quote unquote. He just wants his cut. He just wants his half. He just wants what he earned. But there's no honor to this character. He's still a horrible person. Everybody in the film is a horrible person. And in a way, like, I think the one thing that does kind of redeem him is the fact that he's less horrible than everybody else. It's so funny because he's just going through and kind of like taking people out one by one. And I guess maybe that's what made it slightly enjoyable to watch, is you see these people get picked off and he makes his way up to the bigger bosses. And eventually he gets to like, you know, people like James Coburn is in this, which is weird because James Coburn is not credited as being in this, even though he is. Gets to James Coburn, and, you know, Coburn's like probably, I don't know, in his 70s or 80s by the time this movie is getting made. And he plays one of the crime bosses. And it's very humorous, the interactions that he has with Mel Gibson's character. Because again, Mel Gibson is like, I just want the money that's owed to me. And Coburn is like, so you want the 140,000? He's like, no, I just want the 70,000. Coburn's like, you're an idiot. You're a moron. And it's like that whole like back and forth is very funny. And then the big boss is Kristofferson. And the sort of interplay between those two is pretty tense and pretty good, you know, the way that they did that. Kristofferson makes a really good bad guy. And you know, I enjoyed that part of it. And once I realized that the film was basically like a modern Point Blank, that kind of helped me get through it a little bit more. I have actually seen this movie before. I saw it a couple of years ago and I did not like it at all. This time I liked it. I was able to enjoy it a little bit more. But in the end, I'm still kind of cold on it, and I don't think that I would ultimately recommend it. There's a lot of other films that I would recommend before I would recommend Payback, especially Point Blank. So next up on your list, Frank, is number 84. It's the David Ayer film Harsh Times with Christian Bale. This is one of those films that's always been kind of around. It's usually on Amazon Prime or Netflix or something. And I've seen it, and like, you know, they really push Christian Bale on this. And, you know, I love Christian Bale, Empire of the Sun, and, you know, the Batman films, and tons of stuff that he's done, you know, with Nolan and with all kinds of other people. But I've just never gotten around to watching this one. So that is what is next on your list. And you can like, comment, share, subscribe, and do all that stuff. Frank, until next time, have a good one. It's so obvious that I'm just like, all this stuff is like off the cuff, and I'm just BSing my way through it because you get to the end of this video and I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. And like literally I do this because I have no clue what else I'm supposed to do. That's my little like, all right, screw it, you know. So yeah, have a good one.